Brown, the motivator, and he was doing a weekly call called Motivational Monday. And as you work your way up in his platinum speaker group, if you show yourself approved, eventually it starts off, you're able to intro the call, and then you can actually run the call when he feels that you're ready for it. And this was, I was new, I was green, and I was so hungry to do that, and I wanted to contribute. And then eventually, once I started doing that, I started my own call, and that was in 2007. And I've been doing calls ever since, weekly calls, sometimes daily calls. I've done group coaching calls for 311 consecutive days, every single day, no days off. I've done a lot of different iterations, and I'm very, very purposeful about it, because all of you have very busy lives and you have a lot of moving pieces in your lives. So the opportunity for you just to be able to listen in, and me being able to provide that to you, is very important to me, because I want you to have a power source that you could plug into, number one. Number two, we can start your week off in the right frame of mind. If you can go to bed with some of these thoughts working in your subconscious mind, then that's a win. That's a win, because eventually it's going to take hold. If this becomes just a part of your routine, a part of your instinct, a part of your habit, then it's going to show up in so many different ways in your life, in your career track, in your family track, relationship, your fitness, etc. So I want to talk about the success, the self-confidence formula. Way, way back in the day, a cat named Napoleon Hill was approached by, I'm going to mess up the name, Andrew Carnegie, who at that time was one of the richest people in the country. And he was like, I want you to interview millionaires. I will set up the introduction, but I'm not going to pay for it. I will give you the access, but you got to figure out how you're going to fund it. And I want you to interview all of them and ask them questions about success, their philosophies on success, specific habits, and all of that mindset. So Napoleon Hill, sight unseen, was like, I'm in. Had no idea how he was going to pay for it, had no idea how long it was going to take. And over the next 25 years, he traveled across the country, literally interviewing the giants and the titans of industry at that time. He had access to all of them. And throughout those conversations, those Q&As, he created this book called, what was the book called? No, it's not. I'm not talking about Think and Grow Rich. The book was called, I have it too. Why is it escaping me? I think it's called Success Principles, I think. Laws of Success, Laws of Success. And it's voluminous, it's huge, it's ginormous. And out of that book, he actually whittled it down to a shorter version, because he realized that the book was too big, people were not going to buy it and read it. So he came up with a condensed version, and he was having trouble with the title of this book. And the publisher was like, look, dude, we got a deadline. You need to give us a title. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm working on my subconscious mind. And the publisher was like, look, if we don't have a title by the time we come into the office tomorrow morning, we're going to give it a title. It's going to be called Use Your Noodle or Lose the Boodle. He's like, use your noodle and lose the boodle. You're going to ruin me. And so he was hard pressed that night, went to work on the subconscious, planted the seed. I have to have a title by the time I woke up. Think and Grow Rich was the title that came to him. And that, as they say, the rest is history. So this self-confidence formula is birthed out of those iterations, laws of success, and then Think and Grow Rich. So first law, I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. And I here and now promise to render such action. This is number one of the self-confidence formula. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. So getting clarity on your definite chief purpose is obviously the starting point. And if you look at the structure of your day and the amount of noise and distraction that you are inundated with, you really have to be like a Jedi Knight when it comes to blocking things out, knowing what to say no to, and being supreme in your focus, being directed, driven, and determined in your focus. And once you figure out what is my definite chief purpose, what is my definite chief aim? For some of you, it's to lead and develop young minds because you're in education. For some of you, it is to impact thousands and thousands of people with your particular product or service because you are an independent contractor, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, or maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a business owner. Some of you are saying, what's the difference between entrepreneur and entrepreneur? An entrepreneur just means you did not put up all of the money. You didn't take all the financial risk, but you are an independent contractor, you have your own business. So you may be a franchisee, but you're not the actual founder of whatever said company is. An entrepreneur takes on all the responsibility, all the financial risk. So that means you actually run everything, you own the company, you're handling, all the hiring and the firing, et cetera. But whatever your dynamic or situation, your definite chief aim may be to raise successful, definite purpose, in life is to raise successful children, children that are leaders, that are contributors to society. Your definite purpose in life may be a strong family legacy so that your grandchildren and their great-grandchildren have things to live from because of what you leave behind. They're going to know your name, but they're also going to have the wealth and the resources to continue that name in a way that continues to make a significant impact in the culture at large. So getting clarity on your definite purpose obviously is the first step, and then demanding of yourself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. Here and now promising to render such action. So when I made that decision in 1993, wow, that was 30 years ago, y'all, 1993. I said, I'm going to be an actor. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be an actor. I made the decision. So that was my definite purpose in life. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and I was willing to do whatever it took to get there. So that means I was reading every day. I was doing scene study every day. I was doing monologues every day. I was rehearsing every day. Even if I wasn't cast in a play, I was doing my own. I would get people together. We would do readings. I would go to dark theaters and I would rehearse in front of the on the stage in front of an empty audience. But I would envision that audience, and I lived in that space every single day. Every single day, doing the actions. Okay. Continuous action toward its attainment, promising here and now to render such action. So making that commitment and then keeping the commitment to your commitment. Do you all understand that if you just do this one thing, you've separated yourself from more than 90% of the population in whatever space you're in? Because most people are not going to take consistent action day after day after day, week after week, month after month. And you know why? Because life is the great interrupter. Life is relentless. Life doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your dreams. It doesn't care about your vision. Life is going to keep coming. It is relentless. Therefore, you have to be relentless. This is why, and I love what Jocko Willink said. He's like, look, the reason I never take days off in terms of my workout is because I can count on life interrupting my pattern. So you never have to take days off. This is why I don't take days off. I never have to take days off from working out because I know at some point some things are going to come up that are beyond my control, and I will not be able to get to the gym. I'm going to have to do a floor workout and it's not going to be 90 minutes. It's going to be 20 minutes because that's all I was able to squeeze out that particular day. So I know life is going to be coming. It's going to find ways to try to interrupt my patterns, but I don't allow that to dictate or determine my level of consistent action. So if you all just commit to that number one, this first principle, you're going to be golden. Number two, the second one, self-confidence formula. I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Okay, that y'all got to get this one. I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become, thereby creating in my mind a clear mental picture of that person. That's the creation part. We're all creators. See, Jim Rohn said it best, you're not a tree. If you don't like who you are, you can change who you are. If you don't like how you're showing up in life, you can change how you're showing up in life. Write this down. You are what you repeatedly do. You are what you repeatedly do. So some of you are repeatedly doing things that are not in alignment with what your outcome is. You're saying, I want to be a successful entrepreneur. But what you're repeatedly doing is dishes, you're repeatedly cleaning up the house, you're repeatedly doing laundry, you're repeatedly getting the kids to bed, you're repeatedly taking the kids to school, you're repeatedly being an Uber service for your kids to all their activities, you're repeatedly cooking dinners and preparing meals, you're repeatedly doing all this domestic stuff that has absolutely nothing to do with your outcome as an entrepreneur. And you're literally blocking your ability to manifest what your true vision is. It doesn't mean that you have to stop doing all those things. It does mean you have to have some self-awareness and you have to get organized up here. And the reason so many people have an aspiration that is simply remains an aspiration is because they keep doing these other activities that have nothing to do with where they want to go, and they've allowed life to constantly get in the way. They have habituated procrastination. They have habituated justification, rationalization as to why they're not making the calls, why they're not fully engaged in the activities to build their success, to build their business. They've habituated that because they're like, look, I don't have the bandwidth, Ed, I'm too busy. I got kids, I got this, I got to get to this practice. Listen, I'm not saying that those things aren't real. What I am saying is you have to make it a priority. You have to give it as much importance as you do what you're already doing. You are what you repeatedly do. So if you start to incorporate activities that are in alignment with your wanting to be an entrepreneur, for example, if I'm at the swim pool while my kid is getting taught, if I can take that time while my kid is getting taught to make some calls for my business, now I'm starting to do things toward my business. While I'm en route to pick my son up from school, to pick my daughter up from daycare, if I make at least 1 or 2 calls en route to pick them up and on the way back home, I'm now doing things that are in alignment. I'm taking actions that are in alignment with my outcome. And the more I do it, the more I start to habituate getting really good at finding those little holes throughout the day that I can fill with income producing activity, as opposed to giving myself a way out, giving myself an excuse, justifying taking a break. I'm tired. I don't want to make any calls. I'm tired. I just picked up my kid. I can take him to this practice and I'm always running. I barely have no time for myself. Well, see, that kind of conversation, because you're having it with yourself, you're giving yourself a way out. This is why people don't achieve what they want to achieve. They look up 20 years later, kids are out of the house, and they're like, okay, now I'm going to do it. Well, see, you've habituated procrastination and excuses. You've done it so masterfully that even if you say, as soon as you say the kids are out of the house, you're going to find another excuse, or life is going to give you one to continuously delay you getting on with what you came here to get on with in terms of your other goals and dreams beyond your family. Okay. So again, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. Everything is created twice. Everything is created twice. Everything that we're on right now, this laptop, this iPhone, this lamp, this table, everything, the chair I'm sitting in, everything, the clothes you're wearing was created twice. First in the mind, and then in the physical realm. That is the power of thought. That is the power of imagination. That is the power of creation. So the greater your clarity of what it is that you want to create for yourself, the more specific it is, the more you can embrace that vision, and you can feel the vision. You can smell it and taste it and touch it and sense it. You can hear it. That becomes what you're going to manifest because you're fully immersed in that thought creation process. Third, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any desire that I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence, meaning what you think about, you bring about. How are you talking to you about you? What is that inner story that you are living off of? You see, when you go to a movie, the Oscars are tonight. They're going to honor films that were what? Created first in the mind and then in the physical realm, and the execution of that film. And someone had a story that was percolating, and it was running around in their mind so much to the extent that they had to get it out on paper. It was so strong. And writing it out on paper, it started to take on a different level of meaning, and more content started popping up, and more ideas and different shapes and characters and colors and sounds and creations came off, and that page came to life, and they went out and they created this beautiful moving picture. Well, see, how you're talking to yourself and what you're saying to yourself is going to determine your attitude. Attitude determines altitude, right? So if you're talking up to yourself and you're constantly, you got that record, that superstar record on repeat, you're playing it over and over and over again about just how dope you are, how focused you are, how competitive you are, how driven you are, how much value you bring to every equation that you're a part of, how much energy you bring into the room that lifts everybody up, how much you come in and you're literally transforming the cellular levels of the people that encounter you because of the way that you show up. If that is the level of conversation internally, and you're doing it again and again and again and again, eventually that signal that you're sending out into the universe has to find a receiver, has to find entities and bodies that are going to resonate with that type of sound, with that type of vision, with that type of inner conversation. It comes out of you. Can't fake it. You all have seen it. You all have encountered people. You might have been walking down the street. You might have been in the store and you see somebody and they look like they've been through hell. And you might even ask that person, how are you doing? How's your day? And you know it's coming out of their mouth before the words are formed. And what words come out of their mouth, you're looking at that person and you're saying to yourself, how could you even dare describe your life in that way? How do you find it in you to speak so toxic and negative about yourself and your situation? How do you find it in you to keep telling that same sad sack story over and over and over and over again? What do? We love to marinate in our misery. You see, a lot of people, here's where worry and anxiety come into play, because we take something and we imagine the worst case scenario, and then we put it on repeat. And then we have anxiety and worry because we're worried about the worst possible outcome. Why don't you try flipping the script for the best possible outcome? There's some master expert worriers out in this world. I very rarely encounter people who are masterful at positive outcome thinking, where they're just focusing on that. Because again, they're inundated with all of this negative messaging, all of this toxicity, negative news, negative programming. Everyone's got an agenda. If it bleeds, it leads. And so that becomes what's on their auto loop. You have to take control of that inner conversation. Now, you cannot control the thoughts that seep into your mind. You can control the thoughts that you're going to focus on. You cannot control the thoughts that seep into your mind. You can control the thoughts you're going to focus on. We got any parents here? We got some parents here. So if you're a parent, you'll understand this. When you're a parent, and the more you fall in love with your children, sometimes you'll have a crazy thought like, what if somebody snatches my kid up? And I get a phone call saying somebody snatched my kid. And you'll be like, where did that thought come from? Like, why am I having this thought? Because you're so in love with your child. Sometimes you think about like, oh my gosh, if that happened, I don't know what I would do. And the next thing you know, your heart starts racing, you start sweating a little bit, and you're a little paranoid. That day, you're like, no, I'm walking you all the way to your classroom. Like, I'm going in the school all the way to the class. I will be there before the bell rings. No, you coming with me. I'm holding your hand up. Like, you have this thing, it just, your imagination goes crazy, right? So we know the power of the mind. We know the awesome power of negativity. Don't ever underestimate the awesome power of negativity. I'm just suggesting to you that you flip it and you put it in a positive outcome, focusing on the greatest scenarios, the greatest outcomes, so that is the auto-suggestion, that's the tune that you're living by. Fourth, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. Are your goals and outcomes, are they written where you can see them? Do you have cards where you can write your goal on one side of the card and you can write some success principles? One of the things that Mr. Brown told me, this was years ago, and this was something that was given to him by Earl Nightingale. He said, Ed, write down your most important outcome here. And on the flip side, I want you to write down these 3 proverbs. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. So I was like, okay. And it made sense to me. Like I didn't really question it. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you. And then on the flip side, you got your goal, your outcome, whatever that is. I want to be earning this much income. I want to be this rank in my company. I want to have this promotional level for the job. I want to be this type of father, husband, parent, leader, whatever that outcome is. I want to be this kind of fitness for the rest of my life. I want it to be a lifestyle, whatever that is, right? And you read it and you take it with you, you carry it with you every day. You read it every day so you can see it, read it, you say it out loud, okay? So that's number 4. clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, and I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence for its attainment. The fifth part of the self-confidence formula, fifth aspect, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude towards others can never bring me success. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. It's a mouthful, but it's so important, because here he's talking about how you're moving through life. Sometimes people do get envious, they get jealous, we call them haters, right? Well, number one, embrace your haters. Haters keep you honest. Haters allow you to see where you may need to work. Maybe they're saying something that's true. Maybe they're right. Maybe you need to step up in a certain area of your life. Maybe they're telling you things that you don't want to hear, but you need to hear. Not all the time, but sometimes. But embrace the haters, because if they weren't talking about you, it means you ain't doing nothing anyway. So that's a good thing, okay? But how you're navigating that, I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure. So you can get people excited about something, and they call it the get rich quick thing. You know, these companies, they come and they go, they're flashes in the pan. And you can get people excited because everybody wants something for nothing. That's a human nature, an innate trait. Most people, shouldn't say everybody, most people want something for nothing. That's why they do these, you know, susus, and they lotteries and crypto and whatever. They're looking for that quick turnaround, okay? And I'm not saying all of that is right or wrong. I'm just saying that a lot of people want that quick turnaround. So because of that, if you focus on what can endure, if you focus on principle-centered living, value-centered living. See, when I'm speaking, I know for a fact, every single one of you can come back to this very recording 10 years from now, and you're going to get value from it. You're going to hear it differently 10 years from now than what you're hearing today, because you're going to be a different person in a different part of your life. So I understand the principles that I embrace as I move throughout my journey. No wealth or position can long endure unless built upon truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. If everyone cannot win, if everyone doesn't have an equal opportunity to be successful, I ain't interested. I don't know that you should be either. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces I wish to use and the cooperation of other people. I am not looking for wimps, whiners, people that are complainers. I have no interest in being around that type of energy. I want some dogs. I want go-getters. I want peak performers. I want high achievers. I want people that are willing to get uncomfortable. And it doesn't matter what realm we're talking about. I put out a challenge in the first 10 days of January. I said, who's going to do 1,000 push-ups a day with me? 1,000 push-ups a day. First 10 days. I didn't even say 30. I said first 10 days. We're going to do 10,000 push-ups. Oh, that's crazy. I barely do 20. How am I going to? People were already punking out. Instead of saying, hey, let me reverse engineer it and let me figure out a way to get that done. If I do just 60 push-ups an hour, okay? Let me see, is that right? No, it's 100 push-ups an hour. If I do 100 push-ups an hour, that's literally 10 push-ups every 6 minutes or so. If I do that, I can get to 1,000. But no, is that how their mind was working? No, they're focusing on why they can't do it, because they're thinking from a limited mind. They're thinking from a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. I ain't looking for those people. So you have to know what vibrational level you're going to put out into the world, how you see yourself, and therefore what you're going to attract but also what you're going to repel. See, I loved when I saw, because I'm a part of a couple of chat groups, and I loved getting the responses. Because I was like, you a sucker. Y'all some suckers, man. I ain't messing with you. So now I knew not to fool around with them people when it came to certain things, right? I wish I will induce others to serve me because of my willingness to serve others. So it's give and take. I want to strategically align with people that can serve. See, some of you all at the beginning of this call, when I asked you to reach out to someone and invite them on, some of you all actually did that, right? That was you serving me by serving this call. Then I serve you by making sure that I give you valuable content, right? That's an example, real-time example. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know that a negative attitude toward others can never bring me success. Don't even fool with it. When I see someone and I know they're winning, I always give them a pound, give them a high. If I see somebody driving a really nice car, hey man, that's a nice car, man. You look good in that. Hey, young lady, that car looks awesome. Like, you doing your thing. I see you, right? I'm always praising and edifying. You want to praise and edify those things that you see yourself as, right? You don't want to hate on people because they're winning. You want to be inspired by that. Let that fuel you up. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. I will cause others to believe in me because I will believe in them and in myself. So people got to know when they rock with you, you're going to have their back. You're going to be the one that's going to be lifting them up and encouraging them and pushing them to other levels of their own greatness, because that's the law of reciprocity. They're going to give you that in return. And so that's elevation. We come together here on Sunday for a few minutes at 8 o'clock because we're lifting each other up. We're drawing off of each other's energy. You all can sense it. Like people that have their screens on the Zoom, I feed off of that, and you all feed off of it too. We're making the best of this dynamic of utilizing technology to have a connection, so that when we go to bed tonight, subconscious is going to be running this back, running it back, running it back. So understand the reason, and we're going to wrap it up now, bring it in for a landing. I know the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life, that I have the ability to achieve it. Therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action toward its attainment. So number one, you got to hold yourself to a higher level of accountability. You got to hold yourself to a higher standard. Everyone thinks that they're working hard until they get around somebody who's working really hard. Everyone thinks that they're working out until they get around somebody who's really working out. Everybody thinks that they're doing good until they're around somebody who's doing really good. So always ask that question. Hey, I'm doing good compared to who? Hey, I'm working hard compared to who? Hey, I'm working out compared to who? There's levels to this, right? So getting clear on your definite chief aim and demanding of yourself the actions to get it done, to attain it. The dominating thoughts of my mind will eventually reproduce themselves in outward physical action. Everything is created twice, first here, then out there. What you focus on the longest becomes the strongest. What you think about, you bring about. The more you say what you're going to do, the more what you do, you say comes true, because you're in alignment. You don't speak something unless it's going to happen. You don't say you're going to do it unless you know you're going to do it. The more you habituate that, the more you do what you say and say what you do, the more in alignment you are, then that becomes habitual. That becomes a habit of self-creation. That becomes a habit, so that people know that when you say something, your word is law. It's going to be done. Third, auto-suggestion. So when you talk to yourself, you hear it, right? And so I love this breakdown. My friend David, he broke this word down. He's really good with breaking down words. He talked about heart. Take the word heart. And if you remove the T, you have hear. If you take off the H, you have ear. So when you speak something and you say it, it goes into your heart. Faith comes by what? Hearing and hearing and hearing and hearing. So you speak it, you're hearing it, that hearing is affirming, and you see it because you wrote it down. You got your goals posted up. So that's a visual environment and reminder, a confirmation of where you're going. And the auto suggestion that you got on loop, you have all these things that are reinforcing that. And that therefore becomes, you become this magnet. You're attracting that outcome to you because you don't entertain doubt. Write this down. 1% doubt equals 0% faith. 1% doubt equals 0% faith. We don't have the luxury of doubt. We don't have the energetic why would you make space for doubt for something that you know you're committed to? You've already decided this is your definite chief aim. This is my outcome. This is what I'm going to do. So go and do it. Don't waste energy in any other direction than forward. If you try to walk backwards, it doesn't work. You won't get to your destination. If you try to look backwards, you're not going to get to where you're going. That's why your eyes see forward. So eyes, right? Yes. There's another word that David did. He was like, if you look at eyes and you take off the E, what do you have? You have yes. That means everything that the eyes see is affirming. That's why you look forward. So don't go down that doubt path. Okay. 1% doubt equals 0% faith. That's auto-suggestion. I've clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim. So you've written it down, you post it up, you see it, you affirm it every day. And then you realize that what you're doing has got to be service to many. What you're doing can bring harm to no one. What you're doing is going to add value. And when you have that type of alignment and that highest of intention, there's no earthly force that's going to stop you from your outcome, ladies and gentlemen. There's no earthly force because you're coming from that pure place. And this is a law. These are principles. Self-confidence formula has been around forever. And many of you have been operating from the self-confidence formula, but maybe you never heard it broken down as systemically as it is broken down here. But maybe you've been doing it. I'm sure you have in many areas of your life. But I wanted to share this with you because I've gotten a lot of value from the self-confidence formula over the years. I love the way that it's broken down. It gives you specific steps because success is also a science. It is a science, ladies and gentlemen. You look at some people and you tell the truth. You look at some people and you're like, that person is successful. That person is the boss. That person is winning. And you're looking like, what? And you say to yourself, if that person is winning, what the hell am I doing? Like, well, because it's science. You don't have to be a good person to be successful. You don't have to be there are people that are not nice and they're successful. There are people that are not honest and they're successful. There are people that are deceitful and they're successful. So you have a duty and a responsibility and an obligation to be successful. Whatever you want to do, whatever you came here to do, whatever you're committed to, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your creator. You owe it to your family. You owe it to any children that are watching you, that are looking at how you're moving through this thing called life. And you owe it to them to be a model of that, of embracing that and embodying that so that when they look at you, they say, well, man, look at what they're doing. What can I do? I want to be an inspiration. I want people to question their limits when they get around me because I like being around people that make me question mine. So this is your opportunity, ladies and gents. We're literally in the turn of wrapping up the first quarter of 2023. So think about how you want to finish the first quarter, moving into the second quarter. How are you moving right now towards your goals? And are you doing everything in your power to do that? Maybe you don't have anything written down and you carry around with you and you read it multiple times a day throughout the day. Maybe you're not getting up first thing in the morning and writing your goals down every single day. Maybe you're not taking some time to visualize on your dreams and your goals and live in that vision and embrace that vision and feel it and sense it and feel good from it and get energized from it. Maybe you're not doing that every day for 3 or 4 minutes a day. So now you got some more arsenal that you can add to your success arsenal so you can get to where you want to go. So I will send out the recording to this. I appreciate you all hopping on and honoring your goals and your dreams. Have an awesome and amazing and powerful week. We'll see you here same time, same station next week. Remember to bring people with you and let's keep making it do what it do. Much love to you guys. See you soon.